I'm talking about blood, babe. It's in your veins. Your mommy and daddy, they've got the same. It's hard to know that down below the streets, babe, are swimming deep in blood. It's enough to make a grown man cry. Scream once, scream twice, now scream again. He rakes at your chest with his red right hand.
There we go. There we go. All right. Once again, we're back. We said we'd be right back, so here we are back again. But just in case you guys are picking up from the second part, I'm going to cut this into a final cut as per Derica's suggestion. But I'm your host, Cat 79, joined by my usual co-host, Derica.
Hello, my lovelies. Also, by the time we're recording this, it will be officially my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Hopefully your birthday
birthday.
party goes better than Roman's.
Yeah, that of course the party wouldn't be a party without our guest appearance of our good friend cqmorrel.
Howdy.
Welcome back again. So, all right. If things
So
are
like we're now actually a literal scream team now.
Yeah. Now, if things go well, you guys won't know that break happened and we did this in two parts. That's the magic of editing. But since we do all of this live, like Bill O'Reilly says, fuck it, we'll do it live. So fucking thing sucks. We ran into a hard break, but we're almost halfway through our notes. I don't think we're going to run that long around. So think of it as supplemental material in a sort of way.
Supplemental, and by supplemental you mean the more important parts like talking about the Gales, talking about Cindy, talking about who the killer is, talking about the kills themselves. So all the good stuff.
Alrighty then. So, as we left off, we were talking about the return of our returning cast. We mentioned how we enjoyed Dewey having to be really into the Big Brother void. And in fact, when we talk about the killer, I want to circle back to Dewey because there's a line that always stuck out to me watching it. But again, the other person involved in that duo we mentioned was Courtney Cox's Gale Weathers. But what's better than one Gale Weathers?
Two Galeonies.
And it's not just any other person. We got Parker Posey playing the role of Jennifer Jolie, clearly an anagram of Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie's names, to be the person who played Gale through all three Stab sequels, and is quite a lot to put up with, but not in well, I'm sure some material is annoying, but we just see it as classy and charming and very funny because they're upping up the funniness. So, as a matter of fact, one of us in the team does have sort of a semi-close connection to this particular actress. CQ?
Well, as I mentioned to you off air, I kind of live in the same area as Parker Posey. She grew up in my hometown. So that's a little bit of a personal deal for me.
Oh yes,
And
I can
not only
understand.
that, but Parker has quite a big personality. I mean, as I stated before, I didn't realize that was her in the freaking Superman Returns getting uh ripped up by Lex Luthor for trade at least 100 coconuts for one quart gasoline.
Yeah, she was the Miss Teschmacher type at Kitty, who kind of was the accomplice to the bad guy who really has kind of a good heart. And just like Miss Teschmacher before her, assists Superman in his dire time of need.
But here she's definitely got the tenacious, uh, ravenous nature that Gail Weathers is known. Only she has taken it up to a little bit of an extra level to the point that even the real Gail Weathers is just kind of sick and tired of her being her.
Like, if she thought Debbie Salt was something, like I says, Jennifer Jolie, with the help of a technical advisor, is talking about how she really feels like she's gotten into Gail Weathers' head, which comes with the as in a funny coincidental happenstance. When we were recording this segment last night, Derica was running the movie, and the line about my constant headaches from Gail Weathers ended up popping up at the exact minute CQ was quoting it, which was a very nice cosmic coincidence right there.
It really was. But yeah, it's kind of weird to have this kind of double double duo kind of chemistry. Yeah, that's the word. I keep having this problem where like my own thesaurus in my head is keeps locking and hiding secret away terms when I need it. It's like, come on, I need what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word? It means something like this, that, but it's easier to say is just one single word.
Normally you have it as a
Picking
single
words
diction.
today, believe me.
Normally you have like a single dictionary, but in this case, it's like driving in a contained capsule inside a sea of blood that can't see outside 5 feet of itself, and eventually you hopefully bump into the right word, or something else bumps right into you. Uh,
But anyways, uh,
that was an
thank God that movie got back on the charts.
yeah, that was an iron lung joke for those of you who were keeping score. But anyway, go on. So you were talking about the Jennifer.
The chemistry between the overzealous like fake actor Gail Weathers with the real one, who's as I say before, she had like the best character arc in part two, where she kind of dropped her. She still kind of technically has it, but she at least has a little bit more of a humanitarian gutspo to like be involved in a police investigation rather than just like waiting for like all the trouble to happen and then she comes to report news. Now she's more like, well, I gotta figure out what's going on here because like people are gonna get hurt.
And like she said, the reason she wanted to stick close to Gail after things like more cast members die and everything, she says that, well, clearly they're not trying to kill me; they're trying to kill you. So if I'm with you, maybe instead of trying to kill me, they'll go for you because they actually really want you. Does that make any sense?
None.
Done.
But
But it's kind of weird considering the fact that Jennifer admits that she was touted as supposed to be as like the unveiled as the killer for the movie. If that's the case, I could have wondered, say, why the hell were you freaking out that you were next in line?
well, I guess that was just to keep throw things off. Because I think remember, the what's funny is that the killer in the movie does do what the killer in the script does, where they appear to be killed. Then they show up at the last act for a surprise. Haha, it was me, which isn't uncommon. Don't forget, Billy Loomis pulled that trick off when he had Stu stab him and take him off the suspects list of like, well, I guess it was Billy, and then he revealed at the end like, oh, guess what? This is actually was me. So I think the killer in the script was going
The
to do that.
ultimate, the ultimate form of gaslighting these killers produce.
Oh yeah, but the other thing that happened with her is that she she's the one that brings the most comedy to the scream in this one, because normally it's like actually either doing it at Dewey's expense, or Randy was the one that would make you laugh at an off drunk, or Matthew Lillard's over the topness as Stu would like make you laugh. But in this case, all that is transferred to the Jennifer Jolie character.
And you can especially see it in certain outtakes where, like, just the one simple notion of her pulling out her studio card to get into a locked door, just like they just can't get through without giggling their asses off.
Yeah, 'cause I like the line she's like, Gail Weathers would find a way.
Others would find a way.
Ah, bitch. Yeah, but yeah, like I said though, and Parker Posey, in fact, she was one of the new cast members I had hoped had actually was able to pull through, but unfortunately, she does get taken out. Now, question for you guys: do you think it was Ghostface finally got a coup de grace in there during the scuffle with the mirror, or do you think that there was an accidental shot by Sheriff Dewey there?
That would be tragic. I'd rather it was Ghostface that took her. Otherwise, man, poor dude is gonna have to live through that. It's like, oh man, I accidentally killed my on and off girlfriend.
And what's funny is that she does go her over the topness does add levity, like in the scene where they're confronting John Milton about Maureen Prescott's past. She talks about how he's obsessed with her and obsessed with her daughter, and he's all like going like, okay, come. I think
No, Geraldo.
yeah, Kate on Geraldo, yeah. But yeah, so and also it's revealed that she also did have to do things to get the part, like when Roman was being very moody, she says, remind me never to sleep with him again.
Please stop pretending you didn't enjoy it.
I don't know. I guess it was I guess the winner. I would say the winner in that bout was probably Roman. But
But I definitely will bring back Courtney Cox. There's one thing that a lot of fans will agree is probably the worst thing that ever happened in the Scream franchise, and it'd be Courtney Cox's awful bang haircut.
what's funny is she could have made it work, but they gave her the most.
There's yeah, there's like plenty of like instances where where it could work. Like I seen her like deck her hair in with some flowers, and I think the second time you see her uh on the set, like she had a good haircut going, but I don't know. It's like 8 times out of 10, it's like she's just trying to like just do it scene seriously, and I'm just staring at her goddamn forehead, going, "What the fuck did you do to massacre this beautiful locks of hair?"
Especially given that she had a really good hairstyle in Scream too.
Was just about to say that. It's like, that was cute. Why not stick with that, you know? I mean,
Well,
Sydney kind of had the same look going, you know?
uh, yeah. Well, apparently it seemed it was at the request of David Arquette that she tried to like take her bangs off, and I'm not saying it's probably the reason why they end up splitting in the future, but it was a stepping stone. Needless
But
to say, I don't think she ever forgave him for that. Pretty sure that every time they meet each other at like movie premieres and get-togethers and reunions, she's so like, "You son of a bitch! I'll never forgive you for giving me that awful haircut for Scream 3."
well, if anything, she was really sad about what ended up happening down the franchise involving those characters. So I guess that she didn't hold too much of a grudge over the Scream 3 thing. Uh,
Yeah, but I meant like more in a way of like the way that Carrie Fisher breaks George Lucas for like making her have to
pay a
pay
dollar
him
every
like
time she looks at
yeah,
herself in the mirror.
like,
Like I don't, as I say, I
but
didn't play Princess Leia. I just happen to look like her, and I gotta pay George a dollar every time I see the mirror, as she said in her little self-deprecating humor way. Which I think we mentioned in our previous portion that yeah, Carrie Fisher did have a nice self-deprecating joke in her Bianca Burnett joke about the being almost Princess Leia, but the one who gets it was the one who decided to sleep with George, which I'm sure she knows. No, nobody run with that rumor. This is just playful jab about the whole, playing the Hollywood game, and I don't think George would ever stoop to such a level at all. Anyway, have you seen the guy? Guy's in his own head, arms always crossed. He's always hand to the beard, thinking. If you see all the behind the scenes of Star Wars,
and plus, Duke's not really great at like you know producing actual romance,
Lord knows the prequel showed us
especially when
that.
he's like fresh up, especially when he's fresh off a divorce.
Mm.
Goodness knows.
But like I said, though, I think Gail's best look actually is her after the explosion look with the orange top and the grayish smoky sweater and the bangs and longer hair complement each other. I think the worst look actually is when we first meet her at the press junket, where you're going, "Oh, good God, what did you? Who authorized that?"
It's like, who took a weed whacker to your head?
Who stick the chain chomp on her?
Yeah, but like I said, her better look at is the look after the explosion, which is the look she has for like the remainder of the movie anyway.
And not only that, but speaking of looks, I got like in every other situation, the girl looks like a fucking drop dead like mirror image of Lois Lane.
Oh God, especially when Lance Henriksen's Milton says, "Hey, cool it, Lois Lane."
I remember laughing when we were watching it. I say, "Oh, okay, so you said the quiet part out loud."
On top of that, she's like almost got the same exact energy as the animated Gail Lois Lane from the Superman animated series. So you were saying,
And also
CQ?
got the same feistiness when she went to give Jennifer a punch to the face for rightly hitting Dewey in the face.
My lawyer liked that.
Not as much as me.
But oh yeah, like I said, I love it when Jennifer gets on a complaining thing that her stress levels are so high she's resorted back to smoking, chain smoking.
Someone's gonna pay for this.
And like I said, her chemistry was good. I really did wish there was a way that they could have had Parker at least slip out of the thing. Like okay, but it wasn't in the cards. But she adds a great energy to this thing, and she makes a great duo with Gail. Like when they're trying to like bribe their way in, which is I would totally take directions even from the president. What, the president of the studio?
Of the studio.
Really, $50?
Who are you reporting for? Woodsboro High?
But yeah, you gotta admit though, like I said though, they just. But you're right. All the bloopers are usually of her deliveries just cracking someone else up because she's just that funny. Not because she's terrible, but because she adds the humor. I think for that's a good question to ask. In the effort to try to steer themselves away from the massacre feel of Columbine and stuff, did they overdo the humor, or was it still at a biting level that it needed to be? I personally feel it's at a level where it needed to be, if you wanted to ask me.
Especially given that, hell, Jennifer and Gail, at a point during the climax, they were literally like running around screaming their heads off as if they were like freaking Scooby and Shaggy in like a Scooby Doo mystery.
Oh, and that's when they get to see Roman get the utter shit kicked out of him. I mean, not Roman. I mean, Tyson. They see Tyson see the utter shit. They got. And I like that when they showed. I think they asked Dewey to go check on him to see if he's like still dead or not.
Which, sure, most people would think like, "Come on, look at the guy."
But like,
Which I spun. Did you see how Dewey nearly ended up?
I think that's what.
Last two movies?
I think that's what Dewey's thinking. Maybe there's a chance, but when he goes to him, is he dead? Like, oh yeah. But I think you are asking. Okay, we'll probably talk about this when we talk about the rules of survival. But you're probably asking about the people checking pulses. But do people know how to check pulses properly? Was probably one of your little critiques.
What's it?
Oh,
You're talking to me. I mean, it's. Yeah, it's like if you don't check the pulses for somebody, even if they look like they're dead, then like how would you? I don't know. I think I already just made my point pretty good early on, but
oh yeah.
yeah,
So,
it's great. It's great to see Courtney Cox come back for this. It always is. It's it's. I know a lot of people are always more excited to see whenever Nev Campbell like gets the big comebacks and all of that. But me, I was just like, hey, yeah. What about Courtney? Is Courtney in? Cannot be a Scream movie without Courtney Cox. God damn it.
alrighty. CQ. Any more thoughts on Courtney or Parker?
On, I could go all night about Parker. but that's just me, you know. Personally, I'll admit to being a huge fanboy of hers, but I think that was all said in part one. So,
No problem. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Sydney the Star, Sydney the Survivor, Sydney the haunted, isolated, I don't even exist no more, survivor, played by Nev Campbell, who I think, okay, I say Scream 2 has my favorite look, but I think Scream 3 is the beginning of my favorite portrayal of her, where she's like, you know, becoming the hardened survivor that's hardly phased, but not in a seen it all before way. Like she didn't drastically jump to Sarah Connor and T2 levels, if that makes sense.
Or she's more like the on her sleeve helper rather than just like a paranoid recluse.
Yeah, looking at you, Laurie Strode, in the Blumhouse timeline.
Where she literally just wants nothing to do with anybody. It's like, no, if I don't have a relationship with anybody, no one can hurt me.
Oh, that works for you, but what's to stop them from hurting other people, which ended up happening in the poor old Cotton Weary?
Which I had to wonder, would Cotton even know where Sydney lives? So I know that they kind of went on good terms in the second one, but I still don't think Sydney would feel comfortable giving her phone number to the guy that she like accidentally pointed a finger at. It's like, yep, he's an asshole that killed my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Not for weirdness of him, but more weirdness of guilt. It's like, yeah, I think it's best if you like don't
yeah,
interact
let's
with me,
not pretend. Let's pretend that didn't happen.
I feel like an asshole every time I look at you, man.
If anything, okay, this would have been more fucked up, but in which story, I think if anything, the killer probably should have targeted someone like Mr. Prescott to really find out where Sydney is.
Ooh, that would have been good.
But that probably would have been
not good, but good for the story. But
yeah, but that would have been. She's already lost her mom. She's already lost her sister figure, her boyfriend, her good boyfriend, her best nerdy friend. If you take away her dad, it's like just cut off my legs and my tongue and strap me to a bed so I can be this armless recluse for the rest of my life. Like, you don't want to like take out Mr. Prescott, even though Randy says and. What was it? Graduation day?
I've got teeth cut off, teeth knocked out, fingers cut off.
But yeah, so like I said though, but what's great though is that I love the idea of a horror survivor using her trauma not to restrain her, but using her way of helping cope other people's and in the crisis center. To say maybe in a way if she saves these people, it's kind of helping her soothe herself. But
like every phone call is like another step for like a form of self-healing.
Right. Unfortunately, I think it with the murders and stab 3 happening all over again, I think this isolation is not doing much for her sanity, where she's getting a lot more vivid visions of her mother keep coming after her.
But she did end up getting a nice pooch.
Oh yeah, which thankfully the dog is out of the crosshairs for most of this thing, but But oh goodness, a ghost face that kills a dog would ultimately be really evil.
Well, I was about to say, like, I don't think any serial killer ever kills, but then I remember, oh, right, I forgot. He got hungry.
Yeah, and didn't Jason like kick away a dog too? Oh no! There was
no,
Kane
actually,
said no. Jason.
Yeah. That Kane Harder said, "Fuck no."
Yeah, because I think that was that in New Blood or in Manhattan, where they said he has
Manhattan.
Yeah, where the director suggested, okay, now this is where you kick the dog and everything, and then someone says that's probably he's one of the few stuntmen that can dressed up like Jason that can look at you and tell you like he doesn't do that. And you're going, okay.
Right. So.
Oh, but you did kill a dog in part 2.
Funnier, have you kick a stereo instead.
Oh, Jason did kill a dog in part 2. That's what Ian pointed out.
Well, they don't really confirm that.
But anyway, like I'm saying though, Ghostface that went after that. God, that would have been more messed up to get Sidney to come out of hiding as to like saying, "Got your dog," and then he's saying like, "Okay, we're gonna go." This was John Wick before John Wick, but anyway,
That
so
that actually that would be a very very intense thing.
yeah, so like I said though, eventually she does have to get pulled into the fray. Now it's so funny how Nev is absent for most of the first act, other than a few inserts to remind us that she's in the movie. Because I think in actuality, if I remember correctly, they said they weren't even sure they were going to be able to get Nev back because she was in the middle of a big project at the same exact time. So she kind of had to split her time between Scream 3 and that. And once that project was completely wrapped, then she was able to commit for the rest of filming and do all the necessary scenes for the final acts.
Which is funny considering if you actually watch the movie, it really doesn't feel like it's uh jumbled up as if it was like scrambling to get like a good footing to handle. Like it honestly always feels more like it was prepared for Sydney to come in.
Oh yeah, like she is the linchpin. I think they tried to write a version without Sidney Prescott, and I'm pretty sure even Wes is all like, no, no, we can't do that. Let me see, because I know that was a thing they mentioned in the commentary that getting Nev back was kind of an uncertainty at the time, and then they did get her to go ahead and do it. Yeah, 'cause it said here. Yeah, we read that. We read that. Okay. Anyway, while I'm looking, you can go ahead and bring up more Sydney stuff if you like.
But I was gonna bring up uh so actually CQ has often told me that he always often hopes that Cindy will become like the snap and just actually become her like
A
either
good
die a
ghost
hero,
face,
live long enough
basically.
to become see yourself become the villain.
Well, more like an anti-hero Frank Castle Ghostface, I guess. Like, can you
And
Exactly,
speak,
going out and killing whoever. Or Morbius. Morbius. I know, haha,
yeah,
Morbin
Morbin time.
time.
Yeah.
But Morbius's deal was that he only, in the comics at least, he only drank the blood of criminals. So
Yeah, kind of like a vigilante Ghostface, but yeah, I think she would probably feel a little icky about oh, Dexter Ghostface. Oh yeah, Dexter is an example of a serial killer who uses his killing prowess to hunt even worser killers than him, if I recall.
oh shoot,
yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot I
Or
forgot to look
and
at the
Hannibal.
comments.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just Josie was like bringing up things like what? Where did that come from? Oh, right. Forget. We have our comments on. You have an audience. I keep forgetting you have an audience.
But
It's
yeah,
so weird.
so as you were saying, CQ.
Just me rambling about the Morbius and all that crap. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, about a Sid that would take out other killers and all that kind of stuff.
In
But
a way, Scream Free kind of has a lot of people thinking like, well, maybe the killer is actually Sydney, and there's plenty of instances that give plenty of red herring clues that could sway that. It sound logical if you think about it. I mean, first of all, there's obviously learning the truth about John Milton and his forays with the Maureen Prescott that caused her to become the type of person she was, which would be the domino effect for the entire Scream slash Stab franchise.
uh huh.
And that of course, if she had learned about that, she would have probably like decided to like get twisted and like come out of hiding to like get revenge on him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but like I said, the only problem with that angle is that we did see Sid in the scenes in between to know that this killer is hunting her specifically. But if they wanted to really play up that mystery angle of Sid being absent for most of the movie, and then she shows up and then people starts dying, then they could probably lead to the what if Sydney did it? But we're already seen from the get go that the killer is Kylo Ren looking for the map that leads to Luke Skywalker and is willing to kill to get it.
except it's only us, the audience, see it.
Yeah.
None of the people in the movie sees that, especially when Sydney gets attacked on set, and as soon as like people arrive, like it's empty. There's like the house set is literally has nobody even like cornered like a rat in there.
Yeah. But yeah.
So
Oh, by the way, that's a
I would literally wouldn't be surprised if like uh Kincaid's snarky gum chewing partner thought like, yeah, either she's fucking crazy or maybe she's just having her son a fucking goose chase so that she can get uh her scheme going.
I think that partner has just as much f bombs as the Ghostface in this movie.
And he has one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. He was making a movie called Stab. He was stabbed.
Yeah, that was Josh Pice as Detective Wallace. Which hell, there was one moment where they have a shifty look at him where you think, wait, where's he going off to? But no, he's just snarky. Don't that's his thing. I call him a hybrid between Mark Ruffalo and Ben Stiller.
Oh God, I can see it too.
Yeah, like specifically Ben Stiller as the Happy Gilmore nursing home nurse. That's all like I give you a tall glass to shut the hell up or whatever. But yeah, one of the best acted scenes in the movie, I think, is Sid walking onto the set after following Angelina in the bathroom, who leaves off and she forgot something, and then when she finally goes in there, she sees a complete recreation of some of the scenes from Woodsboro that you can tell it's all coming back to her in her head. And like I said, I think the scene that you all personally like is when she goes back to the set that's recreating her room, where I go, I wonder if Dewey was the technical advisor to get those details right.
Yeah, it's also another thing is I told CQ this before, like when we heard that he was gonna be guest shopping over here, and I just like was randomly thinking about Screen 3 before we did our rewatch, and just remember this. Well, CQ shared a GIF of her recounting as offering Billy a PG-13 relationship. And the most harrowing thing about Screen 3 is like it's like strike three. This is literally the point where Sydney realizes, holy shit, my life is literally just nothing but a reoccurring trope of death, carnage, tragedy, and loss. Like it's like scripted. I'm literally scripted to have to endure this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and yeah, I think yeah, and I love the haunting use of the original Sydney Lament theme that was used to much more of a stronger effect when she walks onto the set of this Mocker house and walks to her house with the. And Derica asks, "Wait, the Mocker house was nowhere near Sydney's house." By saying, "Set convenience, instead of having to move the crew to a whole other sound stage, you can have." Most of the town in a single stage and say, okay, we're shooting all the Sydney stuff on this day, and then just turn the camera and do some fill-in shots of the Mocker stuff so we can, you know, keep it concise instead of having to build a whole set just for the Mocker house, tear it down, build a whole set for the Prescott house. So that's why they're that close. But she thought, wait, Sydney's house was nowhere near Stu's. You said. All right.
She us she's definitely like never going around without a firearm. That's for certain. She's definitely learned a lesson from that. Like never leave home without it.
A bat? Pocket pistol?
Actually, like bringing up the gun with Cindy, TQ always likes to point out like he loves this one face that Sydney makes.
Yeah, the during the scene where she has to give herself the one over with the metal detector, she at one point she just has this, I don't know how to describe this kind of cute look on her face. I know the scene is supposed to be tense and all that, but it's just like, oh, you know.
But
Go ahead.
especially given that like she did it, and when she waved it obviously over her necklace, saying like, "Well, what the fuck did you expect? It to be made out of peppermint?" But of course, the Ghostface is like, d- "Don't be snarky. Do the other leg."
All over Sydney.
But I'm trying to think of some other things with Cindy. Is yeah, she's definitely a lot more stronger and put together in public. But whenever she's in private, she always has like this like somber look to her, and it's like realizing like pieces of this puzzle about her mother is like really starting to hit home that maybe it what all this wasn't fully her mother's fault, but it could be like someone else like really ruined her so much that she just couldn't like shake off the disgusting thrill seek of a good time and all that, which is like
Which,
an unfortunate,
circling back to
situation.
Randy, though. Go ahead.
Now, yeah, with Randy,
With the whatever the sins of the past will come back and destroy you. That's what's
yeah.
happening.
Funny enough, originally the original episode title for this podcast was going to be "The Past Is Not at Rest," because like a big chunk of it is like having to deal with the repercussions of the past. But then Patrick Dempsey's character said, that, "All I know is by the movie 3, all bets are off." And it's literally just like, well, I couldn't turn to Jonesy because we're like a whole country away from each other. But metaphorically, I literally looked to the side and said, "Yeah, the episode's got to be that line. That's a fucking badass line." And so I don't know. I feel like it would be kind of. I'm sure Jonesy will bring up his turn to talk about settings. I think briefly we could talk about Roger L. Jackson as the voice that is he's always credited in these movies. Where I pointed out in each iteration, I feel like with each killer that's behind the mask, like whoever gives this Ghostface voice the mindset, the personality, it kind of gives the entity a new personality, if that's the right word. Like for
Hmm?
first it's kind of like a suave, like just kind of like casual, laid back, but then he'll once he gets lets loose a slip of the tongue, then suddenly he'll just kind of snap at you just to make sure you're playing along. Then the second one was almost kind of
Hush.
like, yeah, he was more uh winding the box as if like he wants to have the setup of a big punchline. Because as you know, Mickey was trying to purposely get himself caught. So he was basically,
It's all about the trial. Oh, sweetie, there's not going to be any trial. Bang,
yes,
you know.
and then this one is fucking pissed beyond all belief. And then again, for most of these calls, he has to emit the a different role. This is actually the kind of like the scariest, most sinister way. I think we talked about it in part one of this one, but it's very scary that there's a ghost face that decides to kind of like uh trick you into thinking you're like in safe conversation with somebody you trust or someone who's kind of like at like wouldn't be in a know. It's like, oh. But then as soon as like you're kind of like lulled into a bad sense of self security, then he gets you and he's like really just not letting up, and he's really really obsessed with like getting his big confrontation, his big ultimate goal that he wants. It
Mhm.
seems to be directed to Sidney Prescott. Doesn't care about like setting up all the stabs, another stab like in reality to match the movies, or movies don't make psychos. Movies make psychos more creative kind of outlets, kind of more like I just using this as a massage just so I can get you because it's always been about you, Sydney.
It's been about you, Sydney.
Yeah, I think it was the. It always feels like whoever takes on the Ghostface kind of makes Ghostface be like this familiar entity that always is returning uh annoyance to Sydney. But this one, it's like where he's like talking about his big revelation. It always feels like the entity is actually really more personal to Sydney,
Hmm.
as if all this time he's been kind of like in the know. He's been part of her life where she didn't know it.
That will come very, then that is going to be revealed to be very true soon. Was it?
Oh, that's just his sister in the background, probably talking. So he must be almost on his way back. Um,
Quick, everybody, hide. I kid.
also another thing is like with we're well, you don't know if like the person who's touted to be the Ghostface killer in movie plays them because it's always usually mostly stunt actors. Assuming because let's face it, there's no way you're going to be asking Timothy Oliphant to just kind of purposely slam his head onto a steering wheel in a
Hmm.
crash scene. But they always often have this ghost face really slashing the air sideways, like as if like just constantly reaching out to just like grab you. And also as a puncher, this ghost is an absolute fucking slug puncher.
He does seem to have very, very obvious anger issues.
To say the least. But there, it, what's even more sinister is that he seems to be in the know of how to like get in and get out of the studios. Like he literally like played possum in like this huge closet that has all these different Ghostface costumes. Because obviously, Josie actually pointed out that it's like it makes sense that they would have so many copies, considering that Ghostface is notorious for having to trip over and fumble and having to get like beer bottles smashed on it or slamming it over, get tripped downstairs by bikes and all that stuff. So like, if anything like seriously happened, like they actually like tore a seam or something, they would be like, okay, bring in the spare. He's like literally sitting still, like standing there, and then as soon as like Sarah Darling is like preoccupied with like trying to get like a phone call to the authorities, the real Ghostface killer is actually slowly moving out and unfolding his hands out of the sleeves, and it's just like it's ugh, so eerie.
Looking for a needle in a stack of needles, and the needle you're looking for is coming right for you. If that makes any sense.
No, yeah, that's right. Uh, uh I'm sorry. He has to have real life happen during these films, but it normally he would have had like a the be right back sign
Hmm.
pop in, but it wouldn't be fair to you as a guest to have to sit through and wait. I've like made it a career out of like waiting on him, but yeah. So Actually, I think going back, it is funny that if the revelation of who the Ghostface killer is, it it's weird when Sydney's getting chased in the movie set. How this guy, if if it's literally just this very guy that's going to be revealed, is the Ghostface killer that's chasing Sydney all this time. How very easy and light that he is to let Sydney just grab him out of the doorway as she's just hanging out for dear life and chuck him down to the bed.
Hmm.
As if it was originally written to have a certain other person who would probably be lighter, probably of like a bad, similar build, frame, weight to her to get pulled down the stairs. But yeah, it's always just a theory that I always like to live on. And another thing is, I also find I think it's hella messed up that not only is like this Ghostface character obviously taking up the same face as like literally like slaughtered so many of like Cindy's friends and relatives in the past that they also decided like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna dress up as the dead body bag corpse of her mother.
Which we already know that Sydney's already got a hell of a case of PTSD about all this. So that's sanity. Bye bye. You know.
And to literally do it in the crime scene room, which again, as I said before, it's funny that a lot of people think like Scream 3 is like really toothless and had to be like, oh, it can't be like too gruesome and violent. We just had like a real tragedy happen. And yet here's this scene that just has this so much implication that in your imagination is running sort of like, holy shit, Billy and Stu really went to fucking town on her.
Mm-hmm.
Like personally, when I first watched the original Scream movie, I assumed like, well, maybe it was like a simple like backstab or something that just left her uh dead to be found by her own family in a tragic manner. But this one is like, how much? I think some of the blood even got up to the ceiling. For God's sakes, what the hell are you doing, guys?
Remember, these are the two guys that have a thing for disemboweling people. Remember, her insides on the outside.
Oh right, God.
And that's my theory. My little theory is that going back to Scream One, that isn't rope that Casey's hanging from the tree. If you catch my
Oh,
drift.
oh, it's definitely not. Uh, I do have like a VHS copy of Scream One, but the audio is like really terrible. I have to like finagle with the TV to even get a decent amount of sound to pop up. But is y'all know certain VHS copies of Scream have certain prints that were from across seas that end up like being cut down because, well, let's be fair, it was gruesome stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was slowed down enough that you could definitely tell it's like, yeah, she was hung up by her own small intestine.
Yep.
Okay, okay. Thanks. Sorry about that little thing. I had to kind of flutter away. Where are we at right now?
We talked about Sydney, and then we decided to talk about the Roger Jackson voice portrayal. He was like a really mean, vicious, uh, salty mouth motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
And then we were just kind of like talking about how this Ghostface is just like really messed up to like be uh playing along as like a dead corpse
Hutch.
of Sydney's mother in a putty bag.
Well, and I was just saying though is that despite the cut down in blood and violence they want to keep on, this Ghostface is easily among the more sadistic kind. Like it gives Billy Loomis a run for his money.
But what do you think about Roger's take in Scream 3? Because I've always been more of a fangirl to the suave kind of like reel in like a slow fisherman. But this guy is just literally like fly fishing just for like aggression.
He cuts right to the quick right away. And it almost feels like they could undercut the screen voice by not, by with the whole voice chameleon technique they ended up pulling off. But in the end, they managed to keep it. When he does show up, you're like, oh, he got serious. Like the part with Cotton flirting with the lady who says, "What would your girlfriend think?" He's like, "How do you know I got one?" Because I'm looking at her right now. Although one line I love though is that she has a sweet little voice.
Voice.
But yeah, like I said though, he definitely cursed a lot more on the phone than I expected. More than even because I don't even think Stu or Billy did that much swearing in theirs, and neither did Mickey. So I think the first time we ever actually heard it was F bombs by Ghostface was in this movie. I guess they made fun of they made up for the lack of blood for upping the harsh language, which goes back to Aliens' hilarious quote with the no ammunition in there. Is he crazy? What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language? Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so before I reveal who our killer is, did you get about talk about enough of Nev Campbell as you wanted to, Jonesy?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, one scene I loved in particular, going back to the ghost face taunting her psychologically, is we get a scene where this is probably the most broken we've seen Sydney in a
Shut
while.
up.
Where when she's going back to a recreation of the Marine Prescott murder, and she is just not the strong survivor that sounds strong, but just a quivering, scared little girl in that minute right before the
Oh
Ghostface in the
man,
body bag comes after her.
she must have like really reverted back to being 16 at that point. That's
Because she was the one that
ah.
she was the one that discovered Marine's body. So yeah, and then when she's over there telling Dewey, I saw him, he's in the house, and I go like, yeah, that is probably the most broken we've seen her in a while. Not since her freak out on the stage.
And you can imagine that being almost 1-to-1 as it happened. You can imagine Sydney finding her mother and then running out to find Dewey outside.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
mean, I mean back before Scream 1, excuse me, but then again, it's almost midnight and I'm kind of loopy, so.
Don't worry, I'm feeling it too. But we're almost there. So it's finally time that we can reveal the last player of this whole thing. The big twist. It was all along the director of Stab 3, Roman Bridger, director.
and
And
brother.
brother.
We all and played by Scott Foley of Felicity, I believe. So I kept telling her he seemed like a double ringer for James Rolfe as the AVGN when he was wearing that all white ensemble near the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's why he
Uh,
wore white, so that he can sell the effect of his quote unquote demise. So when we first meet Roman, we see him complaining about the fact that the violence in movies is like killing his film that he's working with, and he said he just wanted to do one more horror. All he wanted to do was direct a love story, but he had to do one more horror film for the studio before they even let him. Which, funny enough, that's actually the condition that they pulled on Wes, where Wes had a personal passion project that he wanted to make. I think it was called like Music of the Heart or something, where he really wanted to like make something that wasn't a Wes Craven movie, so to speak. He wanted to just make a simple love story or simple just to show that he's more than just a one trick pony. And they said
Mm-hmm.
okay on the condition that he you know do one more Scream sequel for them, which he was okay to do. And so they threw that line as a little like reference to that with Roman being all like, all I needed to do was just one more stab movie, and they were going to give me my own little other project. And we also
and,
first hear him during
and
Sarah's call. What I joked said, I don't think he needed to use the voice chameleon thing just to be able to tell her off about how she gets skewered like a freaking pig.
nope, but it does give a good liability when he constantly says like, "Well, it wasn't me. I didn't give the call."
And Gail finds out it's from a cloned cell phone of Roman's phone, so it could have been anything. So that's why they said it wasn't. It cleared him. But with more people dying, I love that bit where he has a meeting in John Milton's office where he says that no one will work with him. So he's been labeled a pariah, and he don't even know what that word means.
I don't even know what a pariah means.
And I love how Lance tries to tell him, like, well, maybe we
I mean,
could.
I'm not a criminal. I mean, it was questioned, but that was it.
But I love it. Like, maybe it'll increase your mystique or whatever.
You think it'll give me a career?
Oh,
But yeah, and they point out how it's Roman's birthday that very day. So they go do a big party at Milton's place, and then he also had a good alibi, pretending to be like drunk and everything like that. And they go down into the creepy closet where he don't come back, and he shows up in the coffin, knife in the chest, and Jennifer just sounds the alarm of, oh crap, killer's here.
I did have to laugh that he's probably not actually drinking actual booze. He probably put water in and he's just like acting drunk to play act. Cause God, imagine if he was actually drunk and he did go through his facade like, city, I got you, you stupid
and then,
bitch.
you know,
After all these years to be mommy's favorite, and I got you the.
Well, it would explain why his. But by the way, I think this Ghostface is a lot more coordinated than Mrs. Loomis's Ghostface, who was crashing into everything in that one. But in this one, Ghostface was launching people through stuff. Like he is like he's not crashing through stuff. He's just throwing people into stuff. Like damn. Like again, the Tyson scene. Like good God, he must have been a difficult actor for Roman to work with, for him to really just unleash all his aggression on that poor guy.
Yeah, not to mention is the fact that this guy, well, he's definitely got a big reason for wanting to take it out of Cindy. So yes, it turns out that
quit
Cindy was
fucking
not
whining.
Maureen's only child. There was also another child from her days as Rhea Reynolds with Roman Bridger. And of course, she had like such a huge fallout of her career that she wanted absolutely nothing to do with Rhea Reynolds. That she like put him up for adoption and went back to Woodsboro to just forget everything that ever happened.
And
And of
he's
course, Roman grew up and he was like, "Hey, I should find my mother and confront her about all this, and maybe put bygones be bygones." And
no,
say that I think Maureen must have acted like retorted in such a bitchy way that set Roman off to want set off because
Rena Reynolds is dead.
like I
It,
thought a perfect good idea.
but yeah,
Something I was thinking. It's something I was thinking about. But go ahead first.
no, go ahead. Go ahead and hear your thought. Yeah.
Roman ends up kind of, in a way, mimicking his mother's behavior because he gets around. Because isn't he with? Doesn't he end up with or didn't he have an affair with his face? Not Jennifer, Angelina.
Yes.
At one point, did they admit that up? And of
Uh,
course, we know about the God. I don't want to sleep with him again. Jennifer talking about that.
that's true. And on top of that, one of the original twists we'll talk about when we talk about the fact that if he really was a solo act, then Randy wasn't kidding. He was superhuman to really get around, like seemingly teleporting and stuff. So he could have done this all on his own, but we'll go up to that in later. But we got to say how currently, as of the current canon and everything confirmed to official sources, Roman is the solo Ghostface killer that managed to do all of this. In fact, I think Irwin said he switched it up to say instead of expecting two Ghostface killers or three like we were expecting, like oh it's just going to increase the numbers. Let's go hack and make it like just one guy to make him even more threatening.
Which is nice to know, but there's a reason why you literally make you need like two people at minimum to be Ghostface. Like, 'cause let's face it, these most of Hollywood horror movies they always have this method of having the killer like be like lumbering behind and then disappearing out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden they like sneak up out of nowhere and like get the jump on you. That really doesn't happen in like the real world. Like they're gonna be hearing like something. It would be the that meme of like Gordon actually catching Batman as he's like disappearing off at the last second.
But yeah, so he was motivated by rejection. So, like he said, he made a little family film of just literally recording Maureen everywhere she went. Like catching Cotton was no surprise, but catching him with someone like Mr. Loomis and all that stuff, which pissed off Mrs. Loomis and caused her to leave, which made Billy pop a screw loose. So he said, "I get a few pointers, get an accomplice you can pin the blame on, all this kind of stuff like that." And then they did the act. He says, "But I had no idea they would make their own movie." So like he says, so I'm pretty sure when he was told to direct Stab, he's thinking, "Huh, like it's that domino meme, the guy with the little domino and the dominoes get bigger." So the first domino says, Roman goes to find his mommy. Then you say a whole bunch of mass murder ensues afterward.
Hijinks to follow.
Yeah, but I do love the scene where the line that always sticks out to me. I love is when he says, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "It was you." He's like, "I'm a director, Sydney. I direct."
And then she gives him this like, duh look,
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and they do have a passing enough family resemblance that I could buy them as siblings. Now that I think about it, once he took the glasses off.
Yeah.
I,
And not only that, but like I guess you could say that this final battle between them is got to be sibling rivalry to the insane degree.
I love how it devolves into simple sibling shouting when she's explaining that the reason he does his stuff is because he's just screwed up. It's not because of any justified reasons or any revenge or fate or nothing. No, you kill people because you like it, and they both just devolve to FUs to each other, which I love that bit. But I was joking that the more angrier it got, the more he started to turn into Topher Grace's Venom from Spider-Man 3, as I joked.
Is he gonna phone it in a vocal appearance in a Spider-Man video game?
That would have been cool. But oh my god, he was just very like, like I said, the thing was that what came from it is that Sydney became a star, survivor. Says you had the fame and everything that probably should have been. I think you just wanted mommy's love. And I know the fame and the survivor thing was thing, but that's just the fact that she got to know Maureen. So we got to give props to Roger Jackson delivering the effective in-suit monologue as the Ghostface explaining how he's the other half of Sydney, about how he tracked down Rena Reynolds and everything. And you hear a lot of emotions. Like I love the line of "She threw me out into the cold." Yeah, her only son.
Oh, son.
Mm-hmm. But they hear that from Ghostface. Like, I would have laughed if that was actually his natural voice, but no, it was the the voice changer. But oh my goodness, like I said though, the I gotta say, as far as final Ghostface battle goes, this one was probably the most packs of wall up, knockouts and everything. They were giving each other body blows, knocking each other out, pushing each other into. It was probably my favorite of the original trilogy, final Ghostface battles, because wasn't really much of a battle with Mrs. Loomis, and it was more of a cat and mouse game with Billy and Stu. But with this, it's just flat out, it's Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader on the Death Star and Jedi.
And of course, Patrick Dempsey comes in to kind of help, but then he just kind of gets a 1-2 sucker punched out of it.
Also, Roman's a physical Ghostface. There's a funny ass moment where they say the killer's here, and Ghostface just Falcon punches Dewey from left of screen. Or right.
We'll be safe if we stick together, right?
But yeah, like I said, I love the ferocity of the Ghostface in this one. A ferocity that won't be matched until a decade later with that Ghostface. But we'll talk about that when we talk about that.
Well, which number at least? Because
4.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
The 4 Ghostface was pretty ferocious, and I'm not saying the 1 in 5 and 6 weren't. I mean, the 1 in 6 used a freaking shotgun at one point. But I'm just saying though, in terms of like.
Ooh.
That's one of the trailer shots.
Yeah, but yeah, the I love the ferocity of Roman's Ghostface, and he doesn't do none of the ritualistic stuff. I noticed he doesn't do no knife cleaning, no head tilt, nothing. He's just like going straight for the gut.
And of course, you get the first time we get like a Ghostface that actually nearly got Cindy. Or Cindy thought that she got the upper hand by getting Roman's knife, but of course Roman's like, haven't you ever heard never bring a knife to a gunfight?
Yeah, lose something, found something, bang. But by the way, we should also mention another great Sydney line going back to Nev. Like you mentioned the whole little metal detector and no weapon, but the part when she seemingly lost all her weapon and Ghostface is ready to do the coup de grace, and she pulls out the gun and pulls, now it's your turn to scream, bitch. That is a great one liner to end on. And she does cap him in the chest. But nope, Ghostface was superhuman. And then we find out he never learned to look beyond the surface of things. He reveals that he had a bulletproof vest. So when
But even then, if that's like that's not how bulletproof vests work. It's like yeah, it'll stop like the first, maybe the second bullet, but each one is just gonna be like lingering returns until the point where it actually be less effective, and with multiple guns, you're gonna get shot.
but
Probably get internal bleeding from some of the shrapnel hitting in.
but hey, like I said though, there is a great moment where they do make you think that Sid did buy it, and they have the dramatic music playing and Roman in the dark scrambling, and then he turns around and he goes, "Oh wait, where'd you go?" I shot him. I shot him like 6 times.
Huh. That's what that feels like.
Oh, I remember when the audience laughed so hard in Halloween 2018 when Michael yeets your Laurie out of the rooftop where they were fighting, and then he goes to look over where she is, but then the camera shows nope, not there, and even Michael has a little like, huh. So we have to throw in the "that's what that feels like" line.
But yeah, she pulls out the ultimate weapon that even Jada Pinkett Smith had initially stated that they should do.
Oh,
Phone and Star 69 his ass.
oh yeah, she called back to the number to before he could call her to figure out where she is. And by the way, I know this fact gets repeated a lot, but it's just so funny to note that when she takes the ice pick and stabs Roman in the shoulder, that first scream and face was genuine. That it went past the safe, padded area and hit his flesh. So when you see Roman do that big ag when he gets hit in the shoulder, that actually is Foley's real reaction to being stabbed.
I getting the basic instinct treatment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's right up there with the fucking Aragorn like boot kicking a helmet only for it to actually break his toe.
And still screaming character, where it sounds more like a frustrated scream instead of "Holy shit, I just broke my own toe."
Yeah. Whew.
But
But yeah, ultimately Roman does end up getting staked, and there's like this tender moment of like, I guess they're reconciliating as like brother and sister.
you know,
Until they decided to do the running gag of like, careful, there's always that one moment in the movie where the killer rises up for one last kill.
and then wait, like I said, the line I wanted to mention for Dewey that stuck out with me is when Sid is seemingly killed by Roman, and they play like her theme, her lament at full speed. There's a part where Roman's like finding his exit strategy, and you can hear Dewey yell out, "If you hurt her, I swear I'll kill you." Well, he did punch her a few times, and Dewey did get to land the killing shot. But it is funny how many times he was just eating bullets in his chest, yelling that he's gonna get them, and she keeps saying,
just tanking shots, you know.
"They're like Dewey head, the head," and then boom, and
Yeah.
even Derica went, "Ooh, that headshot was actually quite meaty." It wasn't like head explosion gore, but it was still like, oof, that had force to it when he got knocked back. Because most of the time the killer shot in the head and the other ones were done after they were seemingly stabbed or killed. So seeing this one like headshot knock him down, you go, oh yeah, he's gone. Okay, so only killer and all's well that ends well, right? Well, it wasn't quite clean like that. There is a little fun theory that was confirmed by early drafts of the script but changed before shooting, but there was no way one guy could have done this all by himself, right?
Exactly. You have to have at minimum 2 people. 3, they're pretty much like guaranteed to like have like one huge fuck around and find out show for your victims. But doing it one, better hope you have good cardio, man, because you're gonna be trying to outrun these guys so much.
Yeah. So first, the theory that is going on is that we had a lot of possible red herrings. Kincaid, Wallace, all those folk. But the one that came up because of the whole bathroom incident was Angelina, where the whole time Tom was joking about how she might have been not as small town innocent as she tries to play off. And her facade kind of falls off when she yells that she did not screw Lance Henriksen just to be killed next to a bunch of second-rate celebrities like them. Where you go, that came from a primal place.
And of course, she gets shot by Ghostface, but the camera pans away before we actually see like actual damage to her. And the last you see of her, she's like laying on the ground, and she's dragged away.
Yeah.
Dragged away, but why? Ghostface doesn't usually drag people away, especially like people that are of no interest of him.
But one of the original ideas they had was that when Sid goes to the Roman party house, that she would find a scene that similar to Silence of the Lambs when they find the aftermath of Lecter's escape and one of the guards is like strung up. That was going to be Angelina along with the other, like Tyson and Jennifer and Gail and Dewey are still alive in the middle of that. Hi, kitty.
Eight.
They admitted that version that they wrote was creepier, and that would have been something to see. But then it would have been revealed that Angelina was Roman's accomplice this whole time, and that they built the idea that Roman is going out with quote unquote Sidney Prescott. They loved the sort of incestuous nature of it that just made the creepy affair all the more messed up. They said they loved it messed up in a good way. They said so that's why they loved writing it that. But I think it was decided to just reduce the role.
But there are instances, especially in certain merchandise, where it kind of like hints that maybe Angelina isn't clear cut dead as he assumed. There's this one DVD set that had like the original trilogy, where there's pages of the R.I.P. Screamcast, which basically just has like this memoriam, like last photograph yearbook kind of deal of all the people that were killed in each of the Scream movies. All except one. Angelina is nowhere to be seen in the R.I.P. Scream 3 lineup. Which means she's not dead, just MIA.
I'm pretty sure Wes said it was simply an oversight, but he did say in the commentary that, he liked to think that, because when you see her get stabbed, when she says it's crazy to stay around here and she's screaming, she's really playing up her screaming like if she's getting murdered, but done in a way like help, I'm being killed over type of stage acting, like when you're on a stage and you're getting stabbed by Medea and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of because listen to her screaming again as she's getting rammed in by Ghostface.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard screams of people like brutally stabbed before. Hell, we heard it with Cotton's Girl. We heard it with Sarah Darling. But when Angelina takes it in the shoulder, she does this big like like she's really trying to sell the scream, and she kind of gives him a lasting stare of like didn't make it as Ghostface drags her off.
Exactly, and I always feel like that she. To be fair, there's also like a different branch of this theory where she was originally going to be Roman's partner, but as like the finale was being set up and like fear people were like occupying the mansion, Roman decided to just up and kill Angelina just so that she's like tie up a loose end.
Because I mean, hell, like I said, we saw what happened with Mrs. Loomis taking out Mickey.
And apparently, Billy was going to intend to leave Stu definitely for dead, given how much she stabbed him.
You hit me in
the... give me a frag, eh? I feel emotion here.
I think maybe you cut too deep, man.
I think I'm dying.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, though, And then the idea that yeah, that she wasn't in the memorial thing. In fact, uh, oh, well, I'll talk about this when we get to this shrine in Scream 6. But there was a line a fan wrote in a comment saying, "Would have been cool if this was said." And I thought, damn it, that would have been cool. But you know, it's spoilers for 6, so I'd rather not talk about it. But
There's CQ. You really need to get on it. The sequels just keep getting good and good.
Okay.
anyway, so do y'all subscribe to the Angelina being the potential accomplice theory?
Especially considering the fact that she's the one that kind of lured Sydney to the movie set, and like it's kind of hard to just go all of a sudden like out of the blue missing in such a huge backlot place like that. It's like going from a cramped bathroom
Oh,
to a
whoopsie
huge set.
doodles.
Oh, on top of that, it was going to be revealed that Angelina actually did come from Woodsboro as well, and was one of Sydney's classmates and such. Which that motivation would be,
Playing up the whole "I'm jealous of Sydney" thing.
yeah. So I forget how she was dispatched in the original script, but yeah, that would have happened too. I think Roman did decide to just turn on her. Like I said, take an accomplice to take the fall, that kind of stuff, and he would have traced it to, okay, yeah, it was Sydney and Angelina doing this crazy twisted sister bit, and Roman was the sole survivor. Maybe that would have been his cover story. And speaking of kills, let's go ahead and talk about the most important aspect of this type of movie, where they were trying to say, "Don't even show us any on-screen violence or blood," and was like, "That's crazy. We're either calling it something else, or we're making. When you call a movie Scream, there are certain standards that got to be followed."
Exactly. Although there's some kills like the whoever smells the gas, which causes huge explosion. Which that's not a horror movie kill. That's a straight up.
That's Michael Bay stuff right
thriller.
there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, from half of like some of the kills, like you don't really see too much going on. Where like it kind of did paint my image like, oh, I guess this is why Screen Fee is kind of like really low on my list, because like it's like the story's good, just keyword good, but it's just not as like intense and like visceral and bloody as like the other ones, or they still manage to keep their story intact good.
But
It turns out it actually is pretty. Like I just told CQ a while ago, back when discussing the backstory, the flashback scene of Maureen's kill. The room is a fucking mess. At some point, I'm pretty sure I saw some trace elements of blood on the ceiling, and it's just like that leaves a lot of implication and imagination. Those two key ingredients give you more violent images to whatever they portray on the screen.
yeah, Wes did always say that whenever he got asked to like cut out frames for something, it wasn't for anything different, like the standard blood or gore or anything. It's usually what he says, he gets framed for intensity, like how intense he makes the things. And he said that, like for example, there's a movie from way back in the day called Deadly Friend, where long story short, the guy built a robot friend that ended up getting destroyed, and he ends up putting the chip of it into the brain dead body of a girl that he knew too. So she ends up going on a revenge spree for him, and at one point she throws a basketball at the crouchly old lady's head, and it explodes. And he showed them other decapitation scenes to like say how did we do was any different, and it wasn't just for blood content. It was just for sheer intensity of how many frames they lingered on the corpse flopping around like a chicken without its head cut off and the kind of stuff. Even though it was obviously a little person wearing a shoulders body with no head. And he had to cut out
Yeah.
a few frames just to get by. But they were telling him like, though, that decapitation is just too much. And he says it wasn't any blood content. It was more for intensity. So same thing with the stuff that happened in Scream 1, Scream 2. And I think he upped the intensity without upping the gore factor. But he let the blood show where it needed to show, like frickin' Stone walking around with blood coming out of his mouth after getting the tar beaten out of him by Ghostface.
or Tyson literally just leaking out blood after he is became the world's first human uh, welcome rug.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, but yeah, like I said, but the Kincaid is like swimming in his own blood after the beating he took.
It's this point at a certain point you have to want to say, yeah, yeah, you're the first time that I've ever looked at a cop character and go, "There's gotta be someone that's better at this job than you, dude."
But yeah,
Any
like
kills that stand out for you, CQ?
Like I mentioned last night, my favorite kill of the whole thing is Tyson getting the absolute Bruce Campbell treatment. Stabbed, stabbed, choked. Having the rug flip thing happen to him,
thrown
getting
into the
thrown out of the window.
thrown into the trophy case too.
Oh yeah, I
Oof.
forgot about that.
Like I said, he must have been a difficult actor for Roman to work with because he really had it out for him.
Like, well, might as well use an excuse to vent out my frustration.
Oh, say hi to the internet, buddy. My dog's being weird.
Oh, that's sweet to
Oh,
say.
little pooch. But yeah, I think my favorite kill of this one has to probably be actually I'm thinking about it, but it must have to. I'd have to pinpoint it to uh well, frankly, in the uh morale sense, it would have to be Lance Herrick's character getting his throat slit just for you know cathartic reasons.
But yeah, although like I said, to quote the Joker, very poor choice of words. So when he points out that this is where the hero meets the villain and the villain dies, you're right. Except Sydney, you're the villain because after you find out what Milton did to our mom inside this place, and he pulls out a recording that they left of Roman faking Sydney saying, "I know what you did. I'm going to make you pay." And they said they're going to find that next to his mutilated corpse, and he's begging in the tape, asking for I'll give you anything, budget, price, name it, final cut, and that's where the Joker line comes
Yeah,
in.
Got it. Look.
Just like saying very poor choice of words. I mean, but we wish that. I think you probably wish he got maybe a little more of the Kenny treatment with how much blood came out of his neck. 'Cause it's like cut and then thrown aside. You're like, like you said, you could have lingered on him, like gasping for air with the blood coming out of his tracheotomy a little more, huh? I mean,
yeah,
the guy had freaking milk flying out of his mouth after the Queen gave him a big, tail stab.
yeah. So I'm sure he can handle like producing that stuff.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, um, but yeah, my favorite kill was probably either Stone, just because again, just I love the lead up to it
Frying pan.
where he references Tatum, like I don't want you to get shish skewered like your sister did, and then he's all,
How did you say? I can't believe you said that. That makes me very.
and what's great is the knife doesn't kill him right away, but I think what did Stone in was gravity, where Ghostface pushes him into the cabin wall, and the knife gets deeper. Then he beats the crap out of him, and then you see Stone walking later. I think he was trying to put together Dewey's voice, and then seeing Dewey and thinking like, "What? But you?" And then just shutting down. Of course, the other good death, I think. I mean, come on, it's over the top, but the Tom Prince death with the whoever smells the gas it's so over the top. It's almost funny. You kind of want to laugh at him for yeah. You kind of want to laugh at him for blowing up like that.
Well, to be fair, they all did kind of get thrown down the both different cliff sides.
In fact, if anything, if I had to say the death that besides Milton that underwhelmed me, actually, it would be Angelina's quote unquote death, given how much she was playing it up.
And then we don't really see too much of it happening, so.
Because what you see is he runs into her shoulder. She's doing a lot of and being pushed into the wall, and maybe there's some blood, but not a whole lot. Maybe it's stage blood. I don't know. And then you just see her get dragged away in that little. Okay, I'm gone.
Mm.
But oh, and
Trying to get
Roman's death itself is actually quite satisfying.
oof.
Dude,
Get me
I just had that what will be a really messed up idea.
Uh huh.
If there's like a Scream 8 or later, what if Angelina pops up as one of the killers in that, finally coming out of hiding?
That'd be pretty cool. We'll keep that in mind. But I think for the time being, everyone counts her among the taken out. But we'll see. Okay, so also the score is Marco Beltrami once again returning with his usual trademark discordant horns and intense strings. But we also have a lot of like great album, things like that Creed song that was playing on Cotton's girlfriend's stereo when Ghostface was screwing with her. I think that was like the cover album that they kept showing every time they were like advertising for the Scream 3D album. Was that Creed song? And I think a poster of Creed is in Sid's set
Shut
room.
up. Lay down.
Okay, puppies.
oh.
Oh, it's funny. You say that, and my cat starts laying down, even though she can't hear me. But like, no, Nala, that wasn't for you. But of course, one big noticeable addition. I'm sure Derica knows. I'm going to bring it up. They remixed.
The remix to the Red Right Hand more befitting for the Scream movie.
Yeah, because the first Red Right Hand was just a song that was written, and they used it for their thing. But this time, it was written specifically for the movie, and the theme is very much keeping it, like saying how everybody's a liar. That's the truth. I got proof. Stuff like you're like your mom, you're like your dad, which is the whole. It's going with the theme, but it has one verse in particular that just sells it, where he does the scream once, scream twice, and scream again. Cover your face with that red right hand. That fits. I remember when I was hearing the song play during the Hollywood montage, I was going, "Oh, are the lyrics different?" And it kind of also applies to Scream 1, which says, you got a new boyfriend, you think you're in his arms, but you're in his hands, but he's still so cute and dreamy and groovy. But to get that boy up on the stand, watch him raise his red right hand. And at the end credits, it's so at the end of the credits, it's so cute that they used the whole everyone's smiling face to set to that song, and they actually added orchestral accompaniment um, to it. So it has like horns and strings to really add more power, but it still has that jazzy organ and everything. And I had to use it for this video. I'm sure you guys saw the opening cut, but again, I might just make that its own little music video because of how much I love working on that.
That's good. So I think it's time for a special Scream Team edition of let's create our own rules of how we can survive these movies. I think maybe we should start with CQ. What do you think a rule that you should make that could actually circumvent everything that goes on in Scream 3 that would make you be able to survive it?
I would say always carry. Always have a gun on you.
I think though this one this one is easy. Do zombie logic, superhuman or not. Just as
One to the head.
Yeah, Thanos. You should have gone for the head. Yeah, but the yeah, another thing to survive, I think, is I don't know, and I don't know how when it comes to Ghostface mind games, just don't cluster into a spot that's easily exploitable because that's what happened with Sarah Darling. That's what happened with Tom going into the house and being stupid about that. Okay, I think carry a flashlight versus a match probably would have been a better tip in that case.
Okay, so my rule is kind of a little bit of extension to you guys, but it's one key difference. Have a shotgun.
Ooh.
Like, really think about it. Like, for all the movie, it's always just handguns. It's like pistols and all that. And that's the type of stuff that like body armor is kind of made to withstand for. It was definitely not made to withstand a shotgun.
Or maybe it should have had a higher caliber. Maybe a 45 would have caused more damage. Sledgehammer style.
Yeah, but like shotgun is just definitely has a little bit more of an oomph to it, where it would
But
also just give the
Depending on the load you
Ghostface.
use, but yes.
Yeah,
also, the important thing is make sure say that range, because there's some shotguns that have a better close range and long range. And with the ghost face coming at you with the knife, I think sometimes a shotgun might be. You got to make sure that Smiley son of a bitch happens.
exactly.
Another thing is come up with like a secret code or word when you're on phone calls, so you don't doubt who you're talking to. Basically, it's the how to know if it's you. You're a dick. Okay, it's him.
It works at the X-Men.
Which came the same year as this, but because
Oh yeah, I got to bring that up. That was like one of the most intense moments in Scream 3, where like it's just basically just down to Gale and Dewey, and they get we have another case of Ghostface getting knocked out, and unfortunately Gale's locked in the basement. She decides to call Dewey and say like, "Hey Dewey, open the door." And of course he's just about ready to open the door, but then you remember, wait, hold on, how do I know it's you?
no, Dewey, it's me. Now open the fucking door right away. When she hears him
Isn't
screaming,
that what the killer would say?
yeah. But then again, they didn't know about the vocal chameleon thing.
No, they actually did.
No, no, no. They did at that point. I'm talking about to know to come up with some code word or whatever. So
Oh
they,
yeah, exactly.
they probably should have after finding out Dewey has their voices.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll say this. Okay, they gotta get together. Take blood samples from everybody. Okay, okay, that's a different movie. Yeah, yeah. You were the only one that could have gotten to that blood. We'll do you last. Wheep! But yeah. Okay, now the initial reaction, everybody was a little bit. Well, I think the critics were
Lukewarm.
they were okay with it, but they said, at this, let's hope this is the last one because by this point they're kind of becoming parody of themselves, and at this point we have the scary movie series. Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like, Josie, we're probably gonna have to end up doing it. It's like we keep bringing up the jokes every time we think of like, especially the first three movies. It's like, God damn, we keep that sweet scary movie literally ruined this for me. All I could think of is this dumb joke every time this happens in this movie.
Yeah, although while this isn't a Scream parody part, I do love that bit in Scary Movie 3 where Charlie Sheen says to bring him that rail spike, and it hits him. He goes, "Ow, my balls!" So he brings him bowling balls to hit him, and oh Jesus! And he brings a Christ. He goes, "No, no, no, don't, don't bring that into this."
But while the initial reactions were kind of uh, middling to disappointing, it as years went on and certain movements started to happen, people kind of looked back to this movie and went like, "Oh shit, they were actually telling us this whole time."
Oh crap! I read this. Okay, so but they filmed all that stuff at the end with the whole Sid thing. But let's see, violence. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so reception said that the consensus was despite some surprising twists, Scream 3 sees the franchise falling back on the old same horror formulas and cliches it once hacked and slashed with postmortem abandon, saying it kind of became the very thing it was critiquing and making fun of. Oh, I love what Ebert said. He said that the characters are so thin they're practically transparent. But Campbell's appearance says that the camera loves her. She could become a really big star and then giggle at clips from this film at her AFI tribute. But some did call it genuinely scary and highly amusing. And as a conclusion to the trilogy, it works more effectively than anyone had a right to expect. And it says aficionados with the best able to appreciate how wittily Craven has brought down the curtain on his much imitated series. And it's satisfying, though, believe the premise of the series had worn thin. So basically, it was like running out. But here's the thing. Like I said, the way it turned around,
Right.
and in the oh, did you have something to say, CQ?
No, my dog's being weird. I was telling him to be quiet.
No problem. In the wake of a scandal involving the Scream Films producer, the Weinstein, several publications noted the parallels between Weinstein's behavior and the themes of abuse featured in his film, particularly those with Maureen Prescott
Fuck up.
and Sydney in 27. In 2017, Kristen Yun-Soo Kim noted the scene in which John Milton portrayed Lance Henriksen discusses taking advantage of her. And in 2019, the film's editor Patrick Lussier discussed those particular themes with Wes's approach to them, saying of Lance's character, Wes, I think, was very interested in that character as not necessarily the villain. He certainly is a villain, but as a catalyst for the villain's motivation. He's really the spark for the events, or retcon that is the spark for the events in the
Excuse me.
entire series. Oh, no
I'll be
problem.
right back.
No problem.
Mhm.
But they called that the film was an angry indictment of sexual misconduct in Hollywood, predatory men, and the casting couch. He noted several instances of transactional sex in the film, like Jennifer Angelina making references to having sex with the filmmakers to get their roles. And Carrie Fisher made a joke about the whole Princess Leia thing. Uh, they noted that Rose McGowan, who appeared in the first Scream, later accused Weinstein of getting her, and she revealed that she's had a settlement as a result of that. But uh, the late Maureen is slut shamed and victim blamed, and Fraser lamented that the film's lack of exploration of these themes, saying the film could have been a fascinating look at crimes of industry and relationship with horror as sex and stuff like that. But basically, because of Me Too and finding out the dirty secrets out in the open, the dirty laundry, people go back and say, again, it's surprising that they even allowed this film to go through without saying, aren't you saying the quiet part out loud?
Yes.
But like I said, I don't think Wes was trying to expose, but he kept saying how, it's funny how Lance just says it in a way like that's how the game's played, baby. You either play along or you get chewed up. That's like the way he delivered when he's doing the speech about in this town, which I always did like that bit for some reason. But yeah, it's funny in hindsight where you go, given where this came from, oof. But so that is a good question though. Would it be okay if Scream stayed as only a trilogy?
I honestly feel it. Yes, it would have been okay for it to stop at number three. Then we would have just been able to move along because I feel like it's even stated before. Like the real like people being annoyed that they're being in a third stab movie is kind of confusing, given that in a meta sense, and I'm sure connected to the real world. Scream slash stab is probably gonna be like the most like standout like thing you can think of at the time. But if you're reaching to the point where you're like at your like fifth or your seventh run of the franchise, at that point you realize like yeah, either you have like got a script that's like mixes things up, or you're really just like fucking with us.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, like I said though, it is cool that we have a new saga, a new start. But I think if Scream 3 did stay a trilogy, it probably would have been one like up there with fascinating trilogies. But knowing people, if they were using that horse meme for this, the horse's tail is all fire. Middle section, fire still probably. Last section, just a regular horse, not on fire. Not the crude scribble. Although some people might put it as the crude scribble. God, what was there? There was a joke where they showed the whole fire horse meme, but the head was like, doit. I think that was for a video game trilogy. I think,
Yeah, that's not right.
but yeah, like I would have been okay with it as a trilogy. But it made the box set more easier to collect. But you know, I'm okay that the series found a way to like reinvent itself and keep going, but not in a turn of we're bringing this out again. It's not like okay, you got more to say, but I think and all the stuff that it laid out, it was pretty effective in doing its mission and such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I just nearly like, blanked out a little bit, but I'm fine. So I basically feel like this is how, because it actually ends at a pretty happy note. Like Cindy's like not being paranoid and frazzled to have to like lock her gate or lock her security system, every time she's the one that opens the door. Like she's willing to get whatever like Courtney Cox Gale is cooking at the oven. She's willing to sit down and enjoy a movie with them, and even just doesn't let anything that like reminds her of her feelings told in like the little emotes that we usually have. Uh, sorry, what was my point? I was going. Okay, basically, feel like they had a good happy ending with like Cindy feeling comfortable with herself, but also Dewey deciding to just say screw it, screw our logic about being so different. We're just deep down, we really are just crazy for each other. We can't live without it.
Mm-hmm. And then that also leads. I love one thing that is that it does do one of those things we were expecting. Is this going to be a final scare when Sydney goes to go check out the movie, but the door just blows open from the wind. But rather than close it, she's like, not going to worry about it.
Which
He's
is,
back.
And
which
I did comment to Derica. This is the only Scream film that doesn't have that what I call the last minute ghost face jump scare they always do in the middle of the credits, because Scream 1 and Scream 2 had it.
Hmm.
I remember it caught you off guard on the Scream 2 viewing. You even said, damn, I forgot it did that.
but yeah, I feel like with all the good relations, like being complete with people and having to see uh how those two have like managed to end up despite all their differences, it really is.
Quit licking the floor.
But yeah, so Siki, do you think it would have been okay if Scream stayed as a trilogy?
That was the original intention, wasn't it? To just keep it as a straightforward trilogy, wasn't it?
Uh huh.
Yeah, but then it was like a good decade long, and then there's like a bunch of like reboots
Remakes.
that happen with. Well, yeah, remakes. That's the proper term I was looking for because you don't get a reboot until part five. Part four is what is the quote unquote remake of the Scream franchise, when really it's just the fourth entry. It just feels the role of how like movie franchises have those remakes. They're trying to like recapture like same story beats, but then tweak them so it's like it's more modern, more up to date, more like in the know how. It's like that's pretty dumb and outdated.
But yeah, so overall thoughts on Scream, uh, like on Scream 3. I again, we ended up watching this one and really liking it, saying I don't know if you can call this the quote unquote worst one, but even at
It's
its worst, it's still better than actual crap entries in horror films like at Halloween.
ugh. It's as I say, I feel like while I said that Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite horror franchise, I always recognize the Scream franchise as the strongest, consistently good horror franchise. Like it's at even at its worst, it's still a 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of almost like the Kirby franchise for the video games.
That's funny because we do get a character named Kirby in the series later.
Excuse me.
But
And for but my personally, I feel that for part three, yeah, it's definitely like underrated, and it definitely has a lot of personality. It's got the well, especially it's the fact that its location is like as high as meta as you can get by literally being on ground zero of being in Hollywood.
mm-hmm.
And the goodness does we had plenty. There's plenty of other horror movies that delve into having to handle real world tragedies masked in with the glitz and glamour of the Hollywood dream, just kind of distorted in a different eye. Like look at Maxine, for goodness sakes. That's definitely a strong like modern day done contender by Ty West that kind of delivers a more grittier feel that Scream 3 was going for.
I'm sure you would love a Ty West directed Scream movie.
That would be fucking crazy.
Anyway, so again, I ended up really liking this. It's always been the one I watched the most, and it has my favorite portrayal of Sidney so far. Most vicious Ghostface that I think about it in hindsight. Like as Ultron said before getting knocked out. With the benefit of hindsight.
Wham!
So yeah, I think if I had to say gun to head, favorite of the trilogy, it probably would be either the first or second, but I wouldn't leave 3 out of the conversation.
Neither would I, honestly. Especially consider the fact that it definitely has big leeway consequences to the fact that it contextualizes the fact that everything can be traced back to Hollywood skeeziness.
All right, and I know
Quit licking the floor.
I know for a fact, CQ, that I think we were knowing your thoughts on this film is that you have absolutely, probably really enjoyed this one.
If you're talking about ranking the original Scream trilogy, I would rank it. My favorites 2, then 1, then 3.
But just
not saying Scream 3 is bad. It's like saying I like this kind of pizza better than I like this kind of pizza. If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
It's
all pizza. It's all good.
Yeah.
I actually totally agree 1-to-1 with that ranking that you gave. If we were just considering just the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you throw in the whole saga, it becomes more interesting.
Especially, I feel like I had a little bit more Section 4 without spoiling anything. I think that was the first, not only just the first Scream movie, but the first horror movie where I actually watched with a rambunctious, reactive audience that was giving me the highs and lows. It was like, oh my god, is this what it's like to watch a horror movie in a movie theater with with a bunch of people? This is fucking awesome. Why don't we just get to do this all the time?
Yeah. So, okay, if we all agree that it is a good one. It is not the least of the series. It's last, and mostly there's others that are cut above, but it deserves its place. And I think Wes did a good job with what he was given. I think my personal favorite Wes film is either 1 or 4, actually. Even though I love 2 and 3, I would say one of those really gets me. I think 4 I would have to rank a little under just because of a cinematography choice that wasn't in the trailers, but in the actual film, once you see it, you can't unsee that they had to sort of, well, I can't explain it without showing. It's just the look of it has a filtered look, if that makes any sense. But we're here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that wraps about what we had to talk about with Scream 3 so far. Well, thank you, CQ, for being such a lovely guest and putting up with our nerdery.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on board.
We really appreciate you. You've been a one. I think you. I don't think we've ever had a bad guest, but you are definitely one of the most very fun, very reactive that you had, and we will definitely take up your offer of looking into the future to doing different types of podcast talks to bring you along.
Oh, if we ever talk about the Blob, you're definitely first in line for that one.
Alrighty.
Alrighty then. So, alright. Go ahead and sign us off with our tease for the next time.
Well, the next time we return, it'll be in universe and in meta sense, nearly a decade later, but now with new rules, as it's time for the remake of the franchise, Scriform, or Scream 4, as it's supposed to be called.
Right then, so this is Jones Cat 79, aka Chris, signing off with my usual co-host, Derica, aka Dark Neon, and cqmorrel.
Well, with trilogies, all bets are off. I guess we'll see how things go with part 4.